Welcome to the lab. This is the hypertrophy guide. I'm going to be going over each section. I don't have a fancy setup, but I do have a cute one. So let's get started. The hypertrophy guide. Please note, I am not a medical professional. Please note, I am not a medical professional. Do not refer to this guide for medical advice. Refer to your doctor or physician. So, starting off, what is Starting off, what is hypertrophy training? Starting off, what is hypertrophy training? Hypertrophy training refers to structured resistance training aimed at increasing skeletal muscle size. It's not exclusive to bodybuilders. That literally just means building muscle onto your frame. Hypertrophy training offers a balanced pathway to multiple outcomes: improved physique, strength, metabolic rate, and overall performance. This style of training has shown improvements in mental health as well, which you will notice if you start training. And going over some myths, which we will do some myth busting at the end. If you're thinking about getting, like, you're going to get way too bulky or something stupid like that, it takes a very, very long time and a lot of concentrated effort to get too bulky. I've been training for 8 or 9 years and I've been trying to get too bulky. It's not working out. So don't worry about that. Each section is going to be short as possible. I'll be explaining it as we go, and refer to my Instagram, ironvalor.ajm, or the school group, which you're viewing this on probably, if you have any more direct questions. So getting started with the 4 pillars. This isn't like obviously the exact order of. Now, getting started with the 4 pillars, whatever order you want to put this in, this is my order: consistency and accountability, recovery, nutrition, and then your training comes last. So, neglecting any of these will hinder your progress. Optimizing all 4 leads to sustainable gains. Okay, let's go over consistency and accountability. These are non-negotiable, okay? They underpin everything. Without repeated exposure to training stimuli, there is no chance of growth. And the same applies for diet as well. If you're dieting 3 days of the week and 4 of the days you're saying whatever, screw it, it's probably not going to work out the way that you want it to. This does not mean perfection, though. There are plenty of people that make very good progress by still living their life and just being mindful of their gains. We'll go over that in a diet sense in the nutrition guide, but even if you show up at 50%, specifically for training on some days, it's a lot better and it'll compound over time. Fatigue, motivation, plateaus are inevitable. Your ability to stay consistent through those fluctuations while managing recovery separates success from stagnation. That's a bar right there. You can help consistency by keeping yourself accountable. Maybe that looks like having a training buddy, a routine switch up, or taking old habits away that took too much time, or just kind of kept you in the same mindset that you don't want to be in anymore. Like, oh, I deserve this cookie every single night. You should deserve it after maybe a long week of dieting all week. I don't know. However it looks for you. If you need obviously more help, get a coach. Either way, to see sustainable results, it takes dedication. Now, recovery, where growth actually happens. You have to go to the gym to stimulate the muscle, challenge it, and force it to adapt. It will do the adapting while you're resting. This is why people don't lift for 8 to 10 hours a day. They go for an hour. And then most of the time spent is recovery and eating good foods. Recovery is more than just taking a day off. It's when muscle protein synthesis paces outpaces breakdown, resulting in tissue growth. Chronic fatigue, inflammation, and overtraining are direct consequences of neglecting recovery. If you continue to push without adequate rest, you'll eventually stall or risk injury. The number one killer of gains is injury. You don't want to get hurt. Recovery is by far like one of the most important things that you should be prioritizing session to session. We'll break down how to do that exactly right now. So, sleep, go to bed. I'm pretty sure everyone enjoys sleeping. A lot of people don't get enough of it. 7 to 9 hours a night, non-negotiable. Even if you had a long day, you just want to sit down and unwind, just sit down and unwind for a few minutes. Just go to bed. You can unwind for 7 to 9 hours in the middle of the night while you're sleeping. Having planned rest days, going to the gym 7 days a week is not sustainable unless you're doing a bad program. Integrate active recovery methods like walking or stretching to encourage blood flow without excessive strain. Static stretching may cause some soreness. So if you're already super sore in a given muscle group or something like that, it's probably not smart to do crazy stretching routines on your rest days. Dynamic stretching and walking is really good. Getting your steps in is really good, especially for weight loss. And auto-regulation, which is basically just adjusting your plan or adjusting for a day or here to account for like time management, or if you're already sore and you want to, take a set or two here or there, very spaced out in your program, it's fine. I mean, if you miss a set here and there or something comes up, like you don't really have a choice, 99% of the time you should be following the program pretty much exactly. If you run into problems, you can always auto-regulate, or you can also just switch up your program to make it a lot more easy and sustainable. Complex tools such as cryotherapy or saunas are optional. Supplements are optional. Prioritize basic recovery strategies first, which are these right here. So, training, the engine of muscle growth. Training is where the work happens, but its effectiveness depends on the execution. Hypertrophy training is a blend of prioritizing proper exercise selection and execution, as well as training intensely. Your program should include thoughtful exercise selection, logical volume and intensity based off of your needs, emphasis on muscle tension and technique. Let's break all of those components down. Exercise order and selection. These factors are almost completely subjective and based off of personal needs. If you see online like, this leg day blew up my legs, yeah, because it worked for him or her. Like, it doesn't mean that you need to do that exact thing, exact reps, exact sets, exact exercises. What matters more than a specific movement is execution and enjoyment. I must add, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, you're not going to want to do it. I mean, that's why a lot of people don't like running. That's why I don't like running. I don't enjoy running. Some people love running, and that's their main form of exercise. But here, that is not how we do it, because I don't like it. That said, the order of your exercises depends on what you want to prioritize. Let's say you have smaller arms compared to the rest of your physique. It would be wise to put biceps, triceps, or shoulders amongst the first exercises in your training session. This may take away some strength from synergist body parts, but the main goal here is strength and appearance. For example, if you want to prioritize biceps on a pull day, the movements you do for your back may slightly suffer if you were to put biceps first. This is because the biceps will be pre-exhausted, meaning that you may lose some strength when pulling after doing other workouts directly targeting them. So in every single back movement, your biceps are going to be kind of active because they perform synergist movements. So what that actually means is that, say you're doing like a chest supported row and you're coming down like this. Well, if you just do that right now, you can feel that there is activation in your bicep. So if your biceps are a little bit tired going into doing a set of these, then you may not have fully maximal strength. This is perfectly fine. The exercises you select are purely up to you. Choose ones that are sustainable, fun, stable. We'll get into it. Choose based off of enjoyment. I cut myself off. Whether it gives a lot of stimulus to the muscle you're trying to target. Some exercises are better than others, but the gap is much smaller than you think. If you enjoy the movement, you're more likely to stay consistent and train it more intensely, causing more growth than consistently skipping exercises you hate. This is also why people fail on diets. This is because they have a chicken and rice diet. That's so boring. No one wants to eat chicken and rice, like just chicken and rice. How about chicken, rice, peppers, beans in a tortilla with barbecue sauce? That sounds a lot better than just a plain ass bowl where all you have is like salt on top of your food. You're not going to sustain that. I'm just being blunt here, okay? Let's go over an example of how you can structure a pull day, including movements that target the areas you need to complete for a muscle for the training day. So let's say you're doing a back and biceps day or a pull day. So you're going to want to do a pronated row like this, elbows flared, a lat pull down. I'm sure we've all done those. Dumbbell curls, a neutral grip cable row, which is this example that we were doing, and rope hammer curls. I've actually done this pull day, and my back is the priority, and you know that it's the priority because there's 2 back exercises first. Now, so order is going to be subjective. This is just one of the days that I've done. Stick to the planned routine long enough to apply progressive overload. You'll notice, actually, quick side note and a little bit nerdy, but you'll notice that once you start doing an exercise for the first time, your strength is going to shoot up for like the first how many sessions, like a bunch of sessions, and then you'll kind of hit a plateau. But that plateau is just your coordination has caught up with your strength. And from there, that's when progressive overload actually starts. So you want to stick with it long enough to where that happens, and then long enough to progress to actually build muscle from performing the movement. Avoid changing your program prematurely unless progress stalls or motivation significantly dips. If it slightly dips, put up with it. 8 to 12 weeks is the typical length of most programs. Keep in mind that this is a common method that works for many. You do not have to do this method of organization. Personalize it to your likings and needs. Load, reps, and sets. Use loads that bring you within 1 to 3 reps of close. Load, reps, and sets. Use loads that bring you within 1 to 3 reps of failure in a chosen rep range. For hypertrophy, you can do anything from 5 to 15. Heavier loads are going to be a little bit better. It's more efficient. You're going to have more stress directly applied to the muscle. If you do moderate loads like 8 to 15, kind of like 10 to 15, more like this is more for kind of like endurance athletes. It's also going to accumulate a lot more fatigue, which you don't need to do. I always recommend heavier loads most of the time if you're comfortable with it, but you do need to earn your high reps. I always recommend heavier loads just because it's a little bit better for muscle growth. If you want to do higher reps until your form gets really, really good, you do have to kind of earn your lower reps. If you're just throwing around heavy weight, that's ego lifting, not actually lifting. If you don't have your form near perfect, beginning a brand new exercise, you can do higher reps. So utilize these rep ranges to your needs. That's what that means. Higher reps also help you with mind-muscle connection, but that doesn't actually build muscle. Aim for 4 to 10 effective sets per muscle per week. So that is not including warm-ups. That is not including anything other than you pushing it to the bone. And don't do junk volume. If you're doing 20 sets per week for a muscle group, that's junk volume. That's just a bunch of fatigue accumulation that you're just going to have to make up for all of that fatigue and not put on as much muscle as you think you are. Now, arguably the most important factor for lifting is your intensity. If you're not pushing your muscle really, really hard, if you're not running faster, no. This is my favorite part of lifting, the intensity side. So, arguably the most important factor for hypertrophy training. If you're not training intensely, your muscles aren't going to be forced to adapt to any new stimulus that you're giving it. So if you're training far away from failure, which failure would just be you not being able to do another rep with good form, your muscles aren't going to grow because they're not going to be challenged enough. So you can increase weight. You can increase your intensity by progressive overload or increasing sets, reps, or load, which we went over. The level of intensity is gauged by a proximity to failure, which is basically how many reps you think you're getting to or how much reps you think you have left until you reach failure. But you can take intensity too far. And the way that we gauge this is SFR, or stimulus to fatigue ratio. Some exercises have a bad stimulus to fatigue ratio. Think like the deadlift or big compound movements like that, where you're not going to be putting on a crazy amount of muscle for the crazy amount of fatigue that you're going to be putting onto your body. Rather than thinking of it like an actual ratio, it's how many sets per muscle group you can do in a week, to where you're not like crazy sore, but you're also seeing visible progress over weeks and months. An adequate stimulus is subjective, but typically ranges between 4 to 10 sets a week. We went over that. Some muscle groups may go outside of this range depending on the individual. So I know, for example, my hamstrings, if I do more than like 5 to 6 sets in a week, I don't recover. But for my biceps, they almost never get sore. So soreness is not an indicator on whether you should raise volume or if it's actually working, if you're truly building muscle. But it sort of is indicative of new training stimuli. So if you're going to start a brand new exercise and you're hitting a little bit of like different muscle fibers that you weren't hitting in a different exercise that you're doing previously, then you'll get sore from it. If you're increasing like weight, then you might get a little bit more sore than normal. A good way to automatically have a good SFR is to not train all the way to failure every time. Training with 1 to 2 reps left on each set is proven to deliver as much result as failure training, which you can look up, while also reducing fatigue. If you enjoy failure training, then do it, but keep this in mind. The best way to do this is to measure your sets by reps in reserve. This is subjective to your own effort, but a lot of people are not good at judging RIR, so I don't always recommend it, especially if you are, like 0 to 3 years training. It's kind of hard to tell because training hurts, and going past that brink of comfortability is hard to do. So some intensity techniques that you can do to really push it is drop sets, supersets, myo reps, rest pause sets, cluster sets, and there are more. I usually do these, if I'm trying to save time, or if, my buddies are coming to lift with me and we're like, yo, let's superset this. Like, let's just go super hard and like do a drop set, whatever. Straight sets are going to be the best, which a straight set is just set 1, set 2, set 3, move on. So there's no like other intensity added on to straight sets. It's just going to be that. And deloads, if you feel like your intensity has been too high for too long, then you can have like a few days, like half of your training week or a full training week, to reduce volume, weight, uh, to reduce sets, reps, load, and kind of do like an active recovery sort of thing. If your program is already pretty good, you don't need this. I haven't taken a deload in like 2 years. Once I learned that they aren't actually as useful as you think. But it's a good tool to keep in your back pocket. Mechanical tension. Now, this is where it gets a little bit nerdy, but stick with me here. Mechanical tension is the primary stimulus created by challenging muscles under load through full ranges of motion. Mechanical tension is caused by training close to failure, which is why the previous section of intensity was so important. So basically what this means is just training really hard, getting full ranges of motion, and training with like moderate to high loads relative to your own strength. So tension must be applied consistently through the full range of motion, focused on a slow, controlled eccentric or lowering of the weight. If you're thinking of like a bench press, it's when you're lowering it down to your chest. Use a full range of mode. Use a full ROM to stretch the Use a full range of motion to stretch and contract the muscle properly. We're not slinging